So hey guys, what's up? So welcome to my news channel. So starting from the first news, security threat. Trudeau lies in a bulletproof vest. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau appeared at a rally in a Greater Toronto area wearing a bulletproof vest and followed by a heavy security detail at a major election rally on Saturday. According to Canadian press, Trudeau wore a bulky protection vest under his suit as he addressed the crowd of nearly 2,000 at the rally, which began 90 minutes after its scheduled start. Trudeau was surrounded by officers of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, both in plainclothes and in tactical gear. The RCMP detail overshadowed the Liberal Party leader on the stage as he interacted with supporters, that combined with the fact that his wife Sophie Gregor Trudeau did not make a scheduled appearance at the event, raised concerns. A source within the Liberal Party campaign told the Canadian press that their security threat to its nature has yet to be revealed. As the campaign for the federal elections on October 21 gets closer and the rhetoric and attacks become shriller, the RCMP has been increasingly wary of potential violence. The campaign trail. Indo-Canadian minister seeks re-election 4 years after he was famously dubbed Canadian, but as Defence Minister Harjit Sajjan is locked in a close contact as he seeks a re-election to the House of Commons. With less than 10 days before the federal elections on October 21, Sajjan is ahead over his Conservative Party rival in Vancouver South, but that falls within the margin of error according to 338 Canada, which makes projection for every riding as constituencies are called in Canada. Sajjan was part of the cohort of 4 Indo-Canadian ministers, all 6 appointed by the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to his cabinet in 2014. 2 of his colleagues appear to have an easier path to victory, while the last seems certain to lose his seat. So move to the next news, a countdown to Brexit. As the Brexit deadline approaches, the following events will determine whether Britain exits the European Union as planned on October 31 or not. October 14, British Parliament recounts, setting the stage for further attempts by lawmakers to ensure the October 31 deadline for withdrawal is extended. In case of no deal, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson's legislative agenda will be set out by the British monarch in the traditional Queen's speech. French President Macron will meet the European Council Chief Donald Tusk in Paris to discuss issues including Brexit. October 15, European Affairs Minister from the European 27 will discuss the state of play of Brexit with an update from EU Chief Brexit negotiator Michael Barnier. October 17-18, European Union government leaders will meet in Brussels for the European Council summit. If a Brexit agreement is struck, it will have to approved by the British Parliament. October 19, the British Parliament will hold a special sitting on Saturday to decide what to do or what to do. In case of no deal, a recently passed law makes it necessary for London to ask the European Union to extend the deadline from October 31 to January 31. A period in which a national election will be held to break the Brexit deadlock. If Parliament approves the deal, then it will be rushed to approve additional legislation needed for Brexit to occur in an ordinary manner. Opponents of Brexit will march to send to London to demand another referendum. Last month, date of the month, October 31, unless this deadline extended, Britain will cease to be an European Union member at 11 GMT. Move to the next news. Facebook experts use math for better translations. Designers of machine translation tools still mostly rely on dictionaries to make a foreign language understandable, but now there's a new way. Numbers. Facebook researchers say rendering words into figures and exploiting mathematical similarities between language is a promising avenue. Even if a universal communicator as Star Trek remains of distant stream, powerful automatic translation is a big priority for the Internet age. Allowing as many people as possible worldwide to communicate is not just an elastic goal, but is also a good business. Facebook, Google, and Microsoft, as well as Russia's Yandex, China's Baidu, and others, are constantly seeking to improve their translation tools. Facebook has artificial intelligence experts on the job at one of its research labs in Paris. Up to 200 languages are currently used on Facebook, said Anthony Bodish, European co-director of the Fundamental Artificial Intelligence Research for the social network. Automatic translation is currently based on having large databases of identical text in both languages but for many language pairs there are just not enough such parallel text. That's why researchers have been looking for another method, like the system developed by the Facebook, which creates a mathematical representation for words. Each word becoming a vector in a space of several hundred dimensions. Words that have close associations in the spoken languages also find themselves close value to each other in this vector space. For example, if you take the words of cat and dog, semantically, they are words that describe a similar thing. They will be extremely close together physically in the vector space. So the glamour example one of the systems is linear. If you take the words like the Madrid, London, Paris, which are European capital cities, it's the same idea. So move to the last news. A strategic plan to rebalance the ties. The Modi Xi Jinping meet sets the stage to restore the spirit of one. To run up to the second informal summit between the India and the China in the Sisa temple town of the Mamalapur in Tamil Nadu was anything but propitious. It was smack bang exchange between the two countries, mainly over China's perceived support for Pakistan on Kashmir. When the President Xi Jinping flew into Chennai on Friday, the expectations of any significant outcomes from the unstructured meeting were not high. While the first day of the two-day summit initially appeared to focus largely on the optics of television work through a voting in the Yellow Temple complex by President Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It became clear later in the evening when the leaders spent more than 2.5 years in a private conversation over dinner that the two thoughts were intent on refashioning their relationship, that they had returned to an even keel by the first informal summit in Wuhan last year. It would, however, have been unrealistic to expect that this meeting would lead to the removal of all the tensions that have plagued the relationship in recent months, the principal among them being the manner in which the China had backed the Pakistan's efforts to take the Kashmir issue to various parties of the United Nations. That the two sides did not raise or discuss the Kashmir issue was an indication that Mr. Modi and Mr. Xi Jinping were looking at consolidating the strategic guidance and communication that had emerged from the Wuhan meeting and had bridged some of the gaps between the militaries of the two countries. It was in this context that Mr. Modi spoke about the Chennai Connect opening a new era of cooperation between the two countries after the much-touted Wuhan spirit had imparted new momentum and trust to the bilateral relationship. Too much should be read into a reference into the Indian statement about joint efforts to counter the training, financing and support for terror groups. At least not until China shows it is willing to ask Pakistan to tackle this issue decisively. Mr. Xi Jinping called for developing military-to-military relations to enhance trust and an invitation to the Indian Defence Minister to visit China, however, are significant. The biggest takeaway was the creation of the economic and trade dialogue mechanism, as it will allow the two sides to tackle a range of issues of concern from India's ballooning trade deficit to the negotiations of the regional comprehensive economic partnership agreement. If nothing else, the two leaders have once again provided some strategic guidance that can help both sides rebalance their ties and get down to addressing the more contentious matter. So if you like the video, so kindly subscribe to my channel.